Guys, welcome back to Sweat Equity. Today I'm going to do a walk around video of the free boat that I've had for probably about a month and a half now, and basically have just done a pressure washing, and I got the engine to roll over and fire for like a second, so I know that the motor is at least decent, will at least run. So we're just gonna go ahead and do like a little walk around, and I'll just kind of show you what we got here. All right, so might as well start at the front. Let's kind of do a little wide shot there. Excuse my dog Zeus over there. What's up, Zeusy? Just be quiet, all right? Okay. So boat, it was free. It is an 85 Sportcraft 210 Fisherman, as it says on the side. It has a trailer that I don't know. I don't really know what to say about it. It doesn't have a VIN anymore. I got a title for it that shows that it's a homemade trailer, which supposedly is a thing, at least in Maryland. If you can't read the VIN on a trailer anymore, you can register as a homemade trailer, so I've read. Okay, so the boat was sitting for at least 6 years. I know that from that right there, the 14, and if you come back to the tag, I can't see that, but it was last registered in 2014. So 6 years, or close to 7 really, I guess. By the time we're watching it right here, sat in a friend of a coworker of mine in his driveway under some trees and leaves and stuff like that. I'll edit in some pictures here of what this thing looked like where I found it. So originally, I think he, asked me if I wanted it for, $500, and I said, well, I'll look at it. I mean, it wasn't that far away, so okay. And I looked at it and I said, no, I just, the way it looked, was like a little overwhelmed with it. But then, I said, look, if you guys just want to get rid of it, and if you at least got some kind of paperwork showing, that you have, possession of it or whatever, I'll take it for free. But I just couldn't give any money for it, so I figured, what's the big deal? Go ahead and just give it a try. Long story short, I was able to, get it home. The lights on the trailer don't work. The wiring is just all hacked up. I think the trailer is kind of junk, but I guess the frame itself is pretty good. It looks like it's aluminum, so I guess I can repair it, and probably worth keeping it. It seems like all the rollers down there are shot. I mean, like, that's just totally looks gone. That one there is blown apart, so I guess maybe some of these were replaced at one point in time, but I think they all at this point need to be replaced. The wiring on the trailer needs to be replaced, the tires, and probably, well, the rim's probably okay, tires and some new lug nuts on there. This does not have brakes, this trailer, so I don't have to worry about that. The jack on the front is shot. You can see that wheel right there is completely bent. The driveway where I picked this thing up from, was the front end was like way up in the air. I mean, it was like, probably like 4 feet or more off the ground, and they had just wooden blocks and chocks under all the wheels, and this whole thing in the front was sitting up, on like bricks or something. It was really sketchy. So that was an interesting feat, getting this thing lowered back down to get it on the hitch on the back of my Tundra without it just rolling down the guy's driveway. But we did it, got it here. These ancient tires held up for the drive home. So I guess that's the trailer part of it. As far as the boat, once I pressure washed it, it really, to me, doesn't look that bad. I mean, again, it's a free boat. It does have, you know, some little, get up close to it, right here. This is probably the worst damage on the whole boat that I've seen. It's, you know, actually you can see it there. It is dented in a little bit. I did, you know, ask a buddy of mine who's a boat guy. What's up there, John? You know, he's like, it's pretty much just cosmetic. So, you know, if it doesn't bother you, then, you know, but I'm like, again, it's a free boat. Decaling is pretty well shot, but, you know, there's wonderful 80s graphics there, like bronze and brown and more brown. There you see the Fisherman 210. You know, the hull really looks pretty good. I mean, it's just a few scratches and things like that. It is missing this bar that goes right here. So I guess at some point I'll have to look about replacing that. All the navigation lights seem like they're there. I have not been able to get any of that stuff to work yet. There's the one up top there. I'm not really even sure like what that one's for. I mean, I can't imagine it's a headlight. You get all your little anchor hold downs and ow, it just got me right in the knee on the trailer hitch. Ow, it actually really hurt. I think, you know, tie down, I think that's like a rod holder. I got the little hatch up there, another tie up. This right here is a horn. Again, I have not been able to get that to work. The electrics on this thing, I kind of feel like the boat's gonna just need to be like pretty much rewired, which doesn't really faze me that much. I mean, you know, how many wires on this boat? 20 total. I mean, I can't imagine it's that bad compared to what I'm used to. So your little window there for the cuddy cabin. I'm not sure what these things are. If you guys, anybody could let me know, that I would, you know, be interested. I see these kind of all over the place, and it looks like there was some kind of a cable in there. I don't know if this is maybe for like the Bimini top that, you know, I'm not even sure what this thing is for. But like there's a couple of those things around the boat. I know I've noticed some more. Like there's one right here. And it's like there's something in there, but I don't really know what it is. Got the rear nav light there. Various drainage things. I think that there was supposed to be like little swim platforms or whatever on these guys. I did find one video of this on this boat on YouTube that it showed just, you know, like platforms on either side there. So this has a Mercruiser 170 inboard outboard engine, and you know, I'm learning all this stuff as I go, but I thought this would just have been considered an inboard engine, but I guess an inboard wouldn't have any of this exposed outside. You would just have a propeller sticking out of the hull if it was an inboard only. At least that's what I gather. You know, I guess these are trim tabs. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm assuming that's what that is. I don't know what this would have been. It looks like whatever it is broken off. I'm not even sure what this outdrive portion, like I think these have their own like names too, but I don't know. It does say Mercruiser right there. This is not, I hear like the hydraulic pump running when I activate the I can't even think what it's called, but when this goes up and down, but it doesn't actually move as of right now, so that'll have to get looked into. I see something zip tied up right here. I don't know what this is besides something that's broken. There's definitely part of it missing. That should have gone right there. Maybe it goes, might go right there. That might have something to do with this, especially with the way okay, so there's another one of these guys that has a wire coming out of it. So that must be what they were for, was just ways of running a wire through the hull. So why is there so many that are missing things? So I guess that's pretty much the back of it. It took me a little while to figure out where the gas door was, which is right here, and it does have gas in there, and it smells okay. It doesn't smell varnished or anything like that, so I guess maybe they put some stable in the thing. I don't know. But anyway, so that's the outside. Alright, so now we're inside the boat. We'll do a walk around up here. Basically, you can see the floor. It's got a lot of mud on it right now from my feet, but this thing actually, just with the pressure washer, got pretty clean, and there's like no soft spots. The only place where there's like damaged wood is like all this little like side paneling, which looks like it should be a relatively easy thing to just, you know, get some plywood and just kind of like use this as a template if possible and make something new. I still have all these little what do they call it, plexiglass, I guess, sliders for like little, you know, cubby holes and stuff. The seats are not in too bad a shape. I mean, I'm sure they could get even cleaner, you know, with some actual like bleach and soap and water and stuff like that. This one's a little bit discolored, but you know, it's not that bad. It doesn't, I mean, yeah, it's a little crunchy, but it works for now. Instrument cluster, it's showing that it has 581 hours. The fuel gauge goes up when it's turned on. Right now I have no battery in it. There's a Panasonic head unit in there, and there's like speaker wires everywhere, but I have not found any speakers on the thing. Little compass, some like cup holder things over here. That's what this little guy is. This goes in there. I think I have some hardware in there. So this whole thing lifts up, and there's another storage compartment for a second battery in there. Back here is the battery selector, either off 1 and 2 or 1 or 2. That's where the main starting battery goes. Over on this side is the hydraulic pump for the outdrive, which does run, but I'm assuming it's just hopefully just low in fluid or something, because it didn't actually make the thing go up and down. But I haven't actually had this thing really running yet. Under here is the Mercruiser 170. It's 170 horsepower, 3.7 liter 4-cylinder engine, which I guess was only made during the 80s, I believe. It has a block that was designed by Mercruiser, but the head is off of a 460 Ford. It uses one head from the 460 Ford. This is a boat that's designed for saltwater, so it had a heat exchanger over here on this side, which I took off because what I learned is that there's a hole in the oil pan on this guy. So right now there's no oil pan on this thing. There was no oil in it when I got it, and as soon as I started dumping some oil in there, I found out why. There's like a pinhole that rusted through an oil pan. So I have cranked this thing over briefly and I'll show a little video of it, you know, just kind of firing real quick. Just before I spent time on it, I wanted to make sure the thing actually, like, you know, barked off a little bit. So the oil pan is off. I was able to get it out with it still in here. I just kind of pulled everything off of either side, including the heat exchanger over on that side. So I think the motor is good, or, you know, good enough to at least make some noise and run. I don't like the fact that it's just exposed to all that moisture right now, but I mean, what are you going to do? It's January, and I'm not going to even attempt to start this thing again and get, you know, water up in the whole system that I'm just going to have to, like, you know, winterize. So who knows if this thing was winterized 6 years ago. It kind of seemed like it was. There was like a bluish tint to the water that came out, and then of course there was like good green colored coolant in there as well. That was all full. It seemed like everything was good except for the fact that the oil leaked out of it from that hole, which I'll show you in a little bit here. So put this back down. There was a bilge pump. I don't know if you can see it laying right there underneath. I just realized I left my lantern down there. Oh well, whatever. Yeah, I was out here like one night after work pulling this oil pan off of here. Not an easy thing to do. So, you know, that's the engine cover. There's some little broken PVC rod holders. I'm assuming this is for live bait. I've never actually opened this up though. Back here, you've got like a fish storage compartment on the sides. Got the rod holders. I think one of those on each side. This side, I guess, has that one as well, which looks different from that. I don't know. All the wood, this wood probably can be saved. Just pressure washing it actually made it look pretty good compared to what it did look like. This piece back here I'll probably end up replacing that. And these side panels, all this stuff will need to be repainted. I guess there was a Bimini top on this thing, which just is like broken off. You can see it just broke. Like all of the mounting points is something, you know, it just broke off of it. So I guess that's most of it up here. You know, steering, you know, it turns it left and right. All the linkage for forward and reverse and the throttle all work with that. So up in here, if I remember how to open this, oh, there we go. So this flips up. I think, oh yeah, that's right, it has this little spring doodad that kind of keeps that up. It doesn't seem like you can make this open, but I don't know, like I feel like this is all just permanent, so I don't think you're really able just to like step up there easily. You'd have to like go through the hatch. So open these guys up. Okay, there's a little thing to hold that like that, and I'm not really sure what's happening here. You know, it's got all these wonderful vinyl peel and stick tiles. This thing was just full of junk, which is all what I showed you earlier with all the life jackets and things like that. My plan is just to totally gut all of this, and someone kind of cut through here. You know, I feel like this would have come where you could have, you know, utilized the space under here a little bit, like at least to put your feet if you were sitting on the like bed slash benches that would have been on either side. But for whatever reason, that was, you know, they did this in here. I don't really know. The ceiling actually seems to be in pretty fine shape. You know, there's one little light over there. I think this is where the head would have been. There's these little pipes sticking right here. For whatever reason they ripped that out. I'm sure if I actually do keep this thing, eventually I will try to put something back in here. There's this little passageway here. How does this open? I know I had this open before. Okay, it opens out. So you got another little breezeway coming through there. You got the two little windows on either side. These are really small. I mean, just to kind of give you an idea of how big they are. One of those on either side. I've taken the back of the instrument panel off because there was no key to this boat, so I had to like pull out the ignition cylinder, and I got like another one off of Amazon which doesn't actually fit, but it does work. So there is a key that does work, and I can crank it with that, but it's just kind of hanging below there. So, you know, we're all just in the testing stage. There's a whole bunch of wiring that I'm gonna end up rewiring the whole thing. When I pull those panels off on the side, all the wires run down there. I'll try to make heads or tails of what was original to the boat and what's been added on, and just get rid of everything that hasn't, you know, that wasn't original. So up here in the front, there's a little storage cubby up here. This goes all up into the very front of the bow. It seems like everything is solid in here. I mean, you know, all the hull and everything is solid. I mean, I don't know what person in their right mind would have thought that any of this would look good, but you know, in here is kind of the least of my worries for now. But I think it'll serve some function at some point. It's just gonna all get ripped out, basically. So right here you have this hatch, which I feel like is the only way that you'd be able to get up to the front, but this is broken. I'm not even gonna try to open it because I know there's something that's wrong with the hinges on one of the sides, so I'm just gonna leave it like that, and then we'll just have to kind of walk up around on the outside to get up to the front. Right now I'm kneeling in here, so you know, I'm just kneeling, and I have a little bit of space here. I guess over on the side where, like, you know, the toilet would be. You know, basically I'm just have enough room kneeling. So there's certainly not a lot of space. I mean, it would really just be for, you know, using the toilet and sleeping, I guess, if for whatever reason you had to sleep on the boat. And I guess just storage, you know. But yeah, that's the inside of the cuddy cabin, as it's called. I don't know, for whatever reason there's holes and screws in here. I guess I'm starting to realize these things are for running cables from inside to outside, because I found a couple that either have cables ripped off or still have one running through. So who knows, but I guess now I'm going to try to get up. Well, I guess I don't really have to get up there. I guess I can just kind of go from here. But yeah, you can see right there where this hinge is completely separated from the hull. That side is kind of screwed in. You can see how much cleaner it looks up here now than it did. You know, not much to see up here, I guess, really. Yeah, none of the lights work. I did actually, like, you know, I'm not sure if I did this one, but I think I did the one up there and the one in the back, and I did at least test the bulbs. The bulbs are good. So, like, when you come down here, looks like I've already pulled the switch out for the nav lights because I was trying to figure out what was going on with it, and just haven't figured it out yet. But it's like, I don't think any of this, like, the horn doesn't work, the nav lights didn't work, the bilge didn't do anything, none of it did anything. There's a switch here for wipers, which I think mounted right here, I guess. There's a little hole right there. There would have been a one single windshield wiper, but it's no longer there. So obviously that doesn't work. I guess that's about it, really. You know, it's just an old boat. It's an 85. Not a lot of hours from what I've seen. That hour meter does run just with the key on, so the engine doesn't have to be running for that to be on. So, you know, if they just had the key on or listening to music or something, it's, you know, it doesn't seem like the engine has a whole lot of hours on it, really. You know, it seems like the floor is pretty solid. I haven't found any place where, you know, like it's all like intact all the way around the edges. There's no real like splits or anything along there. It's just my dirt and gloves from trying to work on it. All this trash has to come out. You can see the kind of nightmare of wires, which, I mean, like, this is not factory right here. You know, I'm just gonna have to pull this down and just figure out everything. Like I noticed when I was tinkering back here that there's a tachometer wire that got broken off, and instead of just fixing the little bit of wire, they ran a whole new wire all the way around to the front up to the tach, and it just makes absolutely zero sense. You know, I mean, obviously I know not everyone knows, you know, electrical and wiring and stuff like I do, but, or, you know, anyone that works on cars, but that just seemed weird. So when I saw that, and just, you know, how these things have to be replaced anyway, and how it's just kind of, you know, just a mess and nothing works, I'm just going to basically, you know, go through every circuit one at a time and just, you know, get everything working. And, you know, I mean, I have a, I guess this boat was registered in New York, and if it's, I forget what year, but if it's older than like an 89 or 87 or something like that, you don't need a title. You can just have a registration, and the registration that they gave me does show that it is transferable. So I have a way of transferring ownership and getting a title in Maryland for the boat. I have a homemade trailer title for the trailer, which I did a little bit of research, and it does look like that is a thing, because the VIN number is just completely wiped off of the card. And I guess if you don't have that, you can register it as a homemade trailer, and I think you're supposed to like stamp that new serial number they give you into it somewhere. The boat has this little plaque right here, which has some of that. You can't really see it on the camera, but it does, you know, it's stamped 210 fish right there. But, you know, I mean, all in all, it's a giant POS as it sits right now. But hey, this is sweat equity. This is what I do. I get stuff for free or for really cheap and turn it into something, and all I got in it was my sweat equity. The camper over there, we'll do that when it gets a little warmer. We'll do some more work to that, and we'll do some videos on that too. So I think that's it. I'm gonna show you the oil pan. I'm gonna step out of here. I'm gonna show you the oil pan, what that looks like. Yeah, so here's the oil pan that was on it, and you see it's nice and, you know, it's dirty now because I'm sitting outside, but there wasn't any kind of metal in there at all. It was completely clean on the inside. The problem is there was some water that got built up down in the bilge when it was sitting all that time. At least that's my guess. And there was some moisture in there, and there's also probably oil sitting in there. You know, and basically just a little pinhole right there, and you can see where it was kind of wearing thin in a few places. All right, so I got a used oil pan, because a new one for this thing was about like $500 or something crazy like that, because it's such an old boat that, or such an old engine, that I don't think has been made since the late 80s. You know, the fact that you can still get a new one for it is just good in itself. So I got this guy, which just has a little bit of surface rust on the inside, which is no big deal. And basically all the ones that I saw off eBay looked about the same. It's got like little teeny rubs there, but nothing at all close to going through. So this was like, I don't know, 60, I think, with shipping. And the gasket for it was just as much. I had to buy a new gasket, and that was also about 60 bucks, which took me, I probably didn't get that for close to a month, which is the main reason that the thing isn't running yet, is because it just got so cold in the time that I first got the boat and took the oil pan off. And, you know, I got the oil pan pretty quickly, but the gasket took forever because it was coming through USPS. Now, this big hunk of metal right here is the heat exchanger. This is basically the radiator. This thing is really heavy. It's like, you know, cast iron or something. Hoses for this thing are, you know, like, it seems like you can only really buy used ones. You might be able to get new ones, but they're going to be really expensive again. These are still pliable, but they're certainly not brilliant. I mean, you can see how it's deformed from the thing. This is probably normal, actually. This is probably the way it was molded, this little mushrooming right here, but, you know, they still have some pliability to them. So probably, at least for now, because I don't know how good this thing is going to be, we're going to run with what we got. So this guy came off relatively easy, just these 3 bolts on the side. And it, you know, the big hoses are radiator coolant, and these small ones are the water being pumped in from the outdrive from, you know, the water that you're in. Or a hose. If you are running out of water, you can put what's called muffs on it, which I can show you. I bought them for like $6, but I haven't used them yet. So this has 2 separate chambers. All the heat from the engine runs in through the coolant, gets dispersed into the water that goes back outside. So that's your cooling system on a boat that's meant for salt water. If it was meant for fresh water, what I understand is they just literally pump the fresh water from the lake right up through your engine, and that's how they run. That's not how this works, though. So, haven't even opened it yet, but this box right here is the gasket, and somewhere out here, okay, there they are. So this right here is the muff, or muffs, ear muffs, you know, whatever you want to call it. But this guy goes right over your outdrive water inlet, and you hook your garden hose up to it. This is basically what you would want to have to hook up to when you are going to run this thing out of the water. Because what I understand is that if you run these guys dry, it's not so much going to hurt the engine, but you're going to hurt the impeller inside of this guy. So somewhere in here, and I really don't know yet, but up here at the top there's a little rubber impeller that will burn up without the water going through it. But you'd put the muffs right over this area right here, which is where it would be sucking up water from the bay when you're in the water. And that's how you basically run these. That's also how you flush them out when you go to winterize it and all that, just to try to get all the crud out of there. And this thing, you know, I don't really know what kind of condition this outdrive is in. This whole thing is just a learning experience for me to see what in the hell having a boat means. You know, learn something. I don't know. This thing spins pretty easily. Seems like the bearings are good in that. I know these are zincs, which I guess are around in various places, and I guess that's supposed to attract the corrosion or something. I kind of saw that, but I was just watching videos about other stuff, and you know, I see them in a few places. I think, I don't know if I'm supposed to be down here also. Oh, I think right here, and it looks like that one's pretty much gone right there, but there's a few of them around. I guess that's like a wear item type of deal. So that's it. I guess these are like air intakes for the engine. That's what I would guess. You know, I think it definitely screams 80s because it's not white. It's like a cream, like an off-white. And those little like really square windows, or you know, trapezoidal windows. This to me screams, you know, anything earlier than like probably the mid 90s. Everything seemed to get a little more curved teardrop shape. So I think, you know, those couple of things will give it away. That it's definitely, you know, from the 80s or earlier. But, you know, I would definitely say 80s. It kind of screams that all day long. Kind of like the 84 or whatever. I think it was 84, 85 Goldwing that I used to have. I mean, there's just nothing you're ever going to do to make that thing look like anything other than an 80s bike. I have the stuff that is free or cheap and try to fix them up. The issue I have is I tend to never have time to actually use any of this stuff when I do. I do drive all of my cars, even the beater, the Camry. They all get driven at least once a week, so everything, you know, stays fresh and operating. The Tundra gets used when I need to tow something around or haul something. But, you know, my wife has a new car, or newer car, but everything I have is at least 13 years old. I have two 08s and two 99s. And now a 98 if you consider the 323 convertible there. Anyway, I think I've rambled long enough. Thanks for checking this out. You know, we're just trying to kind of build up a channel here with some different projects. We're gonna do some stuff in the house. Probably have my wife on camera a little bit, Julie. She has a china cabinet she got off Marketplace for like $50 that she wants to kind of repurpose and paint it and do stuff like that. So we might do a little video on that at some point in the near future. But anyway, guys, I really appreciate you watching. Please like, subscribe, share. It really helps me get this thing kind of out there and started and get a little bit more, you know, views and stuff like that. So anyway, have a great one, guys. See you on the next one.